Hello, everybody. Welcome back to I guess to the first modern testing session. Hopefully, going to be getting one of these up a week alongside the Legacy. This is the Bug Gifts variant given to the current naming convention, which I'm not happy about. But all that aside, this is my 15-1 of deck. Been taking a couple of tweaks since the last time I showed you guys. Things like Venser made it in, Valakut got unbanned, so Fulminator Mages went in. Ironically, this has been very, very useful. A lot of decks have been having issues. These two cards right now are filler cards. I only own 2 Abrupt Decay at this point and don't feel like shelling out for them currently. We will deal with that as it comes. And one of them is an Abrupt Decay, and the other one is something else that I can't remember offhand. But just a quick run through the list. We've changed from Lotus Cobras to 5 1-mana dorks. Because we're using the 2 Deathrite Shaman, we are using now 8 fetch lands, and also our opponent's fetch lands, which has and has not been an issue. Decks like Jund don't actually play very many very many fetch lands apparently, which was something that I didn't take into consideration, which is also why we're only running 2 of these, because there are other decks that don't run very many fetches. And I said non-basics, whatever. Yeah. Off-color birds. When I say off-color, I mean look at my different pictures of birdies. I don't actually own 3 of the same kind, so deal with it. Yeah, the 1-mana accelerants, because you look at the curve and it's like, okay, you have 1, you have 2s, which are pretty much remans, decays, and Snapcaster, who should be somewhere down in this area. There's really a need to jump from 1 to 3 and higher. So we've got the 1-mana accelerants instead of the 2-mana ramp the crap out of you. This card has still been the nuts even with. So that's where that is sitting right now. Trying to think if there's anything else to get us at least to those turns. Moving on, discard package still the same. Inquisition, Ravens, Crime, Thoughtseize, with 2 more Thoughtseizes out of the board, depending on what we're playing. The original thought was that at the time that I actually put this together, Kiki Jiki was like a side option to the Splinter Twin combo, and now it's become more prevalent. So yeah, I'll deal with that as it comes up, but for the most part, has not been an issue. I'll explain that later. Noxious Revival, part of the gifts package. 3 Spell Pierce, and I'm just going to add the 3 Remand in. The Remands are the only draw spells. The Spell Pierce it's supposed to be 2-in-1 Snare, but I didn't really quite feel like dealing with Snare and being limited in that. So I switched this back over to this. I'm actually thinking I may go 4 Remand, because most people aren't doing anything that I care about on turn 1, and what they're dropping on turn 2, if it's a spell, I also really don't care. What that does do is it removes away our hard counters, so maybe I should turn this into some type of hard counter. For instance, everybody's suggestion of Cryptic Command, but I don't find that to be as useful. The counters are helpful, but they're not an end-all game plan. Typically anything that I'm seeing going on I can usually deal with, and just having like the tempo from the Remand is usually enough. Snapcaster Mage just rebuys things again. Loam, one of the Intuition package, one of the gift packages. Favorite gifts packages have been coming up, and different things have been happening, like EE gifts, or the gifts for EE, and this has been fun. It's like, oh, the aggro deck just got waste locked, removal locked, or you swap out something, it's like, alright, well, this goes away. In comes the Raven's Crime, and yeah, you're stuck with this. Or if you need the win condition at the time, then you take the tar pit. So different things have been happening with that. I'm going to move all this off to the side now that I've destroyed that order. Decay is removal. Crystal Shard has been an interesting card. Let's just pull these aside now. There are only this many things to actually play with on our side of the field, which doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me on this, it's happened more often than not that I've had a Shriek Maw in hand and it's like, oh, Crystal Shard on turn 3. And they're like, dude. And you're like, evoke, bounce with Crystal Shard. Well, I guess you wasted a turn. And it's an incremental advantage type thing. People also don't realize that they have to keep a mana up, so they'll tap out to do things, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I'll lift your creature up. Like, you can spend your next turn playing for that, or paying for that. Good job. So, more so just a taxing ability, I'd say. If they do screw up and only have 1 mana up, you can use it at the end of their turn and then at the end of your turn. Next up, we have Eternal Witness. Revise any spell has actually been pretty useful. Was testing slightly the day before last and was able to Primal Command, gaining 7 life, going to get Eternal Witness against a burn deck. The next turn, play Eternal Witness. The next turn, Primal Command, go get Snapcaster. And the turn after that, play Snapcaster, flashback, gaining 7 life, going to get Kitchen Finks. So we gained 21 life, put 3 creatures on the field, or I'm sorry, 23 life, and 3 creatures on the field. Yeah, I can't count. So that was very, very interesting and a lot of fun. Not to mention the next draw was the Crystal Shard, and that was all game 1, mind you. So he was rather upset. Yeah. Kitchen Finks, this used to be Seagate Oracle. And the reason I ended up cutting it was because even though Seagate Oracle could stop any 2 you wanted, Seagate Oracle didn't gain you 2 life and wasn't a repeatable blocker against bigger things. Like if it was chumping a Goyf, it was chumping a Goyf, and that's all it was doing. Finks, even though it's double green in the deck, and that can be difficult from time to time, it's proved that it's actually worth it to have it. I mean, if nothing else, just for the stupid shard. Being able to just go bang bang with Lich, it's 2 guys, so that's been a lot of fun and a lot more interesting than most of the other things that I've been testing out. Singleton Dismember, this is currently being tested. A guy on the source forums recommended that I try it out, and he actually recommended I try it out over the explosives, that the explosives weren't exactly necessary and needed, but I found that these are actually really good. His testing and my testing are showing 2 different things, but so far, I mean, I haven't actually drawn this in a situation where I want it over this. So, yeah. But I did want one more piece of 1-drop removal that wasn't so limited as 2/2. So 5/5 is a little helpful in that. 3 Liliana, you can power them out on turn 2. They're just Liliana. She's really good with a lot of the different things. Don't know how else to put it. And once you're in top deck mode, it's kind of like, well, you're in top deck mode. If you draw a land, you retrace Raven's Crime, and then all of a sudden you Liliana them, and it's like, oh yeah, you lost 2 cards from me top decking a land. She just keeps hand sizes in check. I will say I ran into a situation last night where I got locked down by Ice Crown Scepter Funeral Charm, and that was very cute. Did not find one of these. Made me really wish that I had just stopped being lazy. Gifts, exactly what we're trying to do with the deck, but tried to build the deck so that it didn't need this card. So, I don't know. For right now, what I'm actually thinking about doing is switching the Lich in here, but we'll go on to that later. Lich is currently one of the win conditions. Most of the time, my opponents are actually scooping, or I'm beating through with Shriek Maws and Creeping Tar Pits. So it becomes an interesting situation where I'm pretty sure that in Moto, if anybody forced me to actually kill them both times, I'd probably go to time for the first, like, 2 weeks that I'm going to be doing this. But lucky for me, people don't want to sit there and watch the monotony ensue. Primal Command. I am a huge supporter of this card. If you don't know what this card does, let me read it to you. Its text is too long. Let me read you what it actually does. Do one thing your opponent hates and one thing you love. Plain and simple. You have to see it in action. I'm going to try and get some shots up here to actually show you guys what Primal Command does when you use it and things like that. But I've never been disappointed with this card. Shriek Maw. And I'm moving all all of this stuff out of order, but whatever. Abusable with Lich because Evoke does work with this ability. Evoke is a cast. It works. Welcome to the party. Crystal Shard, Shriek Maw. Again, same cost here. It's just instead of black 2, it's black blue 1. So it's just an abusable creature. It is also a 2-drop removal spell that kills off anything but Bob that's played at that time. So, and Shaman, which is popping up more and more. That's very, very annoying, by the way. I thought that I was being special in that sense. Batterskull, end-all finisher, recurable via, where'd it go? Via Academy Ruins, which I have lost at this point. There it is. Recurable, which is why it's there. It is the finisher gifts package. You end up locking them down, so you grab Loam, Academy Ruin, Batterskull, and where is it? Raven's Crime, wherever I put that. Yeah. And they are suddenly out of having, they have to have an answer in hand. You should typically have 3 mana saved up. They shouldn't be able to do very much else other than occasionally play a body. And if you draw Liliana, that body doesn't matter, because then it's suddenly you're fighting Batterskull, Liliana, and you can never have more than 1 card in hand. Good luck. Excuse me. Moving into the board. We have 2 filler cards. I told you one of them is supposed to be Abrupt Decay and being lazy. This was the 3rd Engineered Explosives. We cut it to bring in the Abrupt Decay. Then when we decided that we were going to test out the Dismember, we put this back in. Just simply because I'd like to still have access to 2 if need be. There are decks, like there is a White Weenie deck, and what is it, the Soul Sisters deck? Yeah, Soul Sisters from Standards ago. I think it's 2 rotations now. Yeah. And this just eats that alive. Like, looping Engineered Explosive off of Academy Ruins may seem slow, but not really too much of a worry. Let's see. Fulminator Mages were brought in specifically for Valakut. Thought I had a good blue-white ramp Tron matchup and red version or green version, and this has just helped shore it up. What I'm actually finding to be more of an issue with that matchup is I've got them wasted out, I've got them locked out, and now we're just kind of dirtling. And so thinking of other things that I can do to help change it so that I'm not exactly dirtling and taking advantage of that. Nihil Spellbomb and Surgical Extraction are the graveyard hate. This has actually been coming in the Tron matchup, even though it's a one-of, just because if you draw it, there's already a Tron piece in the yard, almost guaranteed. And if there isn't, there very shortly will be. So nailing all the Tron pieces, forcing them to fight at normal mana speeds is the worst thing in the world they could have to go. Obstinate Baloth, currently testing this right now. Later on we'll be testing Thragtusk, because Thragtusk has more implications with Crystal Shard, and Havengold Lich, more so Crystal Shard. I think I just took a card out. I did. I just took out the Crystal Shard. No worries, we won't save it. Being able to, at 6 mana, gain 5 life, put a 3/3 into play, and have a blocker, or an extra blocker, it seems pretty decent to me. I don't know about you guys. Just my thinking. Spellskite's been very good also in the Valakut matchup. They Valakut you with 6 lands, and you have a Spellskite out, and suddenly that's 12 damage instead of 18, and takes a lot more lands. It was originally intended for the Splinter Twin combo, but it's pretty good versus the aggro stuff, and I haven't really been disappointed with it so far. Next up we have Thoughtseize. Obvious discard, and Venser, probably the least understood. He's a pseudo remand, pseudo LD spell, more of a tempo play than anything. He's just a catch-all. If they play Emrakul and have a mana up, I can't Crystal Shard it, which I can't highlight. I can't. They may have another body on the field, so I can't Liliana it, but I can Venser it. I've got open mana, and they cast Through the Breach. Is that still a deck? We'll find out. We go ahead and do that. They cast Kiki Jiki when there's Restoration Angel in play, and I can just get rid of excuse me, get rid of one of them if I need to. We will be seeing a little bit more of other things as well. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and we'll get a couple games in, and we'll see how things go.